Morning, guys. Yeah, sorry I've not been on for a while. I've been doing it here in Langworth, doing trying to sort the allotment out. Got 3 allotments now, and one that we've just got hold of, and it needs a hell of a lot of work. This is where I am now. This actually used to be one of my base camps for discussing things bushcraft related, etc. on my videos. So this is where I am now. I've just thought just had a conversation about with one of my friends about different knives and different knife styles. Oh, it's really hot today. I really feel that sun. So it's only going to be a short one. It's probably to follow on what I've been talking about knife safety, etc. And I just want a quick discussion about guards on knives. Why do we use them? Why are they there? And are they really necessary for bushcraft? A lot of people, I think, especially the novices out there, amateurs, or anybody that's new to this, feel the need that they have to have a guard on this is a really old knife. This is old Liuku knife, style blade, a bit like a machete. It's really old. This, I think it's about maybe 70 years old. It has got a little bit of a guard on it there, but not really pronounced. It's not really big. It's not hanging out here, so there's still chances obviously slipping onto the blade here. But whether or not it's got a guard, it's irrelevant to me. But it all depends on, all intents and purposes, what you're using it for. Using a knife for, sorry. I'll probably give you some examples. Like a lot of knives today have got guards on them, and people feel that they need a guard on a knife, maybe on a bushcraft knife. But my question is, why? Why do you have to have a guard on a knife? What's it there for? Why do you need it? And there's a couple of things. Your guard's there for, obviously, to stop the obvious, your hands, fingers, whatever, slipping on the edge of the knife. And a lot of military knives, they have to have some kind of guard or choil or things like that, because obviously their knives are used for close quarters combat as well. So obviously, if they have to use a knife, they have to use maybe underarm stabbing motions. Obviously, if you imagine that sticking into something or someone, as they train to do, as they're stabbing something, obviously, and the hands are wet or sweaty, if they're in a desert or something like that, or hot heat like we've got today, there is a chance of, when you're doing a thrust movement, your hands are going to slip off the handle straight onto the edge and sever a finger. Yeah, that is true. Certainly on the old type Bowie style knives, maybe from the 1800s, when Bowie style knives in the Wild West and the frontier, where they liked knives with a guard on, maybe an S guard, which is some of the traditional style Bowie knives, or a cross guard, which is a straight cross guard that goes straight across. And they were used again primarily for a weapon, to deflect other people try to stab them. So when they're using that, they can catch each other's knife from the guard or up here, rather than trying to slice your hands off. So you can catch it, parry, and then go in. And the same with obviously the stabbing motion, the overhand stabbing motion. The guard can be used there as well, so your hand does not slip when you're doing that movement. But we are talking about bushcraft. Why do we need guards for bushcraft? I've used hundreds of knives, as you lot know, some with guards, some without guards. I don't really need them. I don't feel that my hand is ever going to slip off the blade, simply because I'm careful what I'm doing. I think the only reason why you'd need a guard is, again, if you're doing a stabbing movement or overhead strike movement, you know, stabbing that movement, you know, or that movement. But, you know, I've never used them movements in bushcraft or survival, whatever you want to call it. I've never used that movement. I've never used that movement. And even when you're slicing a stick, you know, if you're scared of your blade slipping, you can always put your thumb, and certainly using a big blade like this. I love me big blades, as you probably know. Put your thumb on the spine of the blade like this, and then hold the knife handle like you're going to grip something, like a grip a bar or grip a sweeping brush, or even if you want to like go to the gym, you know, grip. The standard grip is probably for most people is like this, with thumb, like that. Not like that, like that, okay? Now, from there, it's quite a sturdy grip, and even if your hands are sweaty, my hands are sweaty, it's hard to tell because the sun out today is really, really hot. You know, with a good grip on your knife, that's still not slipping, still not going anywhere. And even if I'm doing delicate work, if my hands are wet, if it starts raining or it's really sweat, I can put my thumb on the top, okay? And if you put your thumb on top, okay, your thumb feels the blade slipping before your hand does. So that as soon as you feel movement like that, your thumb kind of reacts. It's like a muscle reflex, like a reflex, if you like. And there's still no slippage, okay? Your thumb's not in any danger because obviously you've got your thumb's on the spine. Now, unless you've got one of them silly cutouts there, what I've seen in a lot of modern knives, that's going to sever your thumb, or incredibly sharp spine, then you're never going to cut your thumb off, and your hand is never going to slip across to the edge. So, carving a stick, I'm not carving anything, so you can use your thumb on there, okay? The hand is very sweaty, you have to take my word for it, guys, but it is very sweaty. I've been doing some more work in the allotment today, but even when I'm doing this, do it fast. Okay, so I made a point, and no time at all, and at no point did I ever feel my sweaty hand slip off that handle or onto the blade. I know there's a little guard there anyway, but my hand, my fingers never touched that guard, not once. Never did I feel my hand in danger. But I suppose it all depends on what kind of handle you have as well. Maybe you've got a softer, smoother surface. But again, it's all down to, I think it's all down to the technique that you're using. For delicate work like this, even if I don't have my thumb there, you know, let's say for example we make a notch, okay? So use this thumb here, okay? I love that crunching sound, it's like walking on fresh snow, okay? Put my knife on top as you would do, okay? There's a small little notch there. Again, no point did I not feel in control. The knife is perfectly in control, even a big knife like this. At no point did I ever feel my hand slipping, okay? Even when you need your knife to stab something, maybe you're making a bow drill or hand drill or something like that. Try and find a flat piece for you. Okay, so tip, inside the wood, you need to bore a hole, okay? Now again, look at the position of my hand while I'm boring the hole. The thumb is on the spine of the knife, the hand is on that grip there. This is the grip I always use when I'm boring a hole, okay? Again, I have got sweaty hands, okay? You bore the hole, like that, do it harder and harder and harder. Okay, so I've got a hole there. Tidy it up a bit. Okay, a little hole there that I've started, and again, at no point did I feel any slippage at all. Okay, purely because of the grip I've chose to use for that kind of task. So a lot of the time it's about technique, what technique you use. Now, unless you're doing something really stupid that you shouldn't be doing in bushcraft or survival, you've got no chance of slipping onto a big blade or even a small blade. But that's my personal preference. You know, I do feel sometimes that guards do get in the way. I appreciate why people use them, but unless you're doing this, you're stabbing things, or you're doing underarm movements like that, you know, you're not going to slip, even when you're chopping. Okay, which is, again, I mean, when you're chopping something, right, your hand tends to want to go backwards, okay, not forwards. You know, when you're chopping, I've been chopping for many years, you know, not once have I ever felt my hand go forward, right? It always wants to go backwards, okay? It's how gravity works, you know. It's all in science, you know. So when you're chopping like that, even if your knife wants to fly out of your hands, if you ain't got a lanyard, it'll fly off that way. It's never going to fly off that way unless you drop it. So again, you've got no dangers there when you're chopping. It's always going to happen if you're doing that movement or this movement. That's the only chance where your hand is going to slip onto the blade. But we're talking about bushcraft here. When are you ever going to use that movement? When are you ever going to use the underarm movement? Probably never. You know, there's too much videos out there on YouTube. Too many bad videos give bad examples. And people say, yeah, this knife's not very good because it definitely needs a guard. It definitely needs a guard on that blade, because if your hand slips off that, that's it. You'll sever a finger, you have to go to hospital or whatever, it'll need stitches. It's getting ridiculous. It's more like a fad than a necessity. But do we need one? No, I don't think so. Even if someone that's coming into it, don't be obsessed with guards. Concentrate, if anything, concentrate on technique. Don't follow people on YouTube that's abusing their knives in that way, you know, stabbing cars, windows and things like that, you know, just to test your blades out. If that's what you're buying a blade for, then fine, get a blade with a guard on it. But if it's purely for bushcraft and survival or anything like that, then you know, you don't really need one. You don't need a guard. And I suppose if you've got a child and you're scared of them slipping on the blade, then maybe, yeah, start a child with maybe a Mora knife. So I know a lot of Mora carving knives now come with the either nickel or stainless steel guards. And it's good for them. But eventually, as they get older or a bit more experienced, they'll probably want a knife without the guard. So I understand why people have them, but I think it's become more of a fad or an obsession these days, where you have to buy a knife with a guard. You have to, because if you slip, that's it, game over kind of thing. But it's not, guys. It's not. I think it's more for looks than anything else. You know, a knife looks better with a guard on it, or half quillen, which is like half a guard at the bottom. But I do feel that they get in the way. Obviously, I have got Bowie knives that has got either a nest guard or a cross guard there, but that's because it's a Bowie knife. Most Bowie knives are made that way. But do we need one? No, not really. If you want to go into traditional knife fighting, then yes, obviously you do need one to catch your opponent's guard. But I'm talking about bushcraft. I'm not talking about hand-to-hand combat or close quarter combat. That's not what we're here for. That's not what we're doing. You know, we're not going to be stabbing anybody in the woods. Well, I hope we don't do that anyway. So yeah, I'm going to wrap that up now. Be interesting to hear your comments on it, on guards, etc. And especially some of the traditional knives like this, like the Liuku knives, or even a lot of Puko knives, don't have guards. And they've been making and using knives, the Finnish people and the Sami people, Norwegian people, they've all been using like knives like this with no guard on it for hundreds of years. So I think it's more need to concentrate on technique rather than relying on a guard to stop your fingers from slipping. Because I think your technique, a lot of your technique is ruined by having guards and quillins and choils and things. So concentrate on technique. Don't be worried too much about guards. Just concentrate on technique, guys, and don't follow people on YouTube that's doing this and doing this kind of thing. If that's the kind of thing you're interested in knife combat, then that's perfectly fine. But don't worry about it. For bushcraft purposes, you don't really need it, a guard, guys. That's my personal preference. That's my opinion. You might have other opinions. I would like to hear from you guys if you disagree or agree, and tell me your experiences. Do you have knives with guards, and do they get in your way, or what do you think? Where do they contribute to bushcraft and survival? So leave your messages down in the comments. I'm going to wrap this up now and probably get some more work done. Bye bye for now.